The Witcher 4 will be aimed at new players, the wider audience. Oh, brilliant. That has worked out so very well for every other title that has ever tried it. As here we see, we want to aim for the new player, says, I'm not even going to try, executive producer of The Witcher 4, the wider audience. It genuinely amazes me that this hasn't become a meme in the games development industry by now. Like, really? It's like, we're aiming for the wider audience. That should be something game developers say to each other after 5 beers when they're going like, God, we're not going to have a job next year, are we? No, we're aiming for the wider audience. And also the people that know the franchise but who maybe do not play the games. Now, that's also kind of interesting because, well, they go on in this article to talk more about the plot itself and how they're not really going to be going with any of the plots at all, really. And that Ciri has now become more or less the central character and has always been the central character. The Witcher 3, I think The Witcher as a title refers to both Geralt and Ciri, and always has, explains Kian Maher, franchise and lore designs at CD Projekt Red. I think she's arguably more important to the plot than Geralt himself is. So, they also confirm, by the way, that she has done the trial and all of that. She is a Witcher now, a full-blown Witcher. She is no longer an exception to the rule. She is just the thing. And I gotta admit, I've heard contrasting stories from this about my chat here, where some people say that women cannot survive the trials, whilst others say that some can. It's just such a low rate that nobody even really bothered to try it, frankly. So I am as confused as anybody else. But I do like the idea yet again here that they're throwing all of the codification out of the window. And this also extends to how the character itself plays too. So they talk about CD Projekt Red's previous project, Cyberpunk 2077, in this article, and how in 2077 you can play the game in different ways, which is technically true. I wouldn't go so far as to call them role-playing ways, but you can indeed choose to use a melee weapon or an SMG or a shotgun, and you can occasionally choose to sneak as well, or you can just, hold down a button and kill them instantly with hacking attacks from the other side of the room. My preferred method, incidentally, you can kill entire gangs of dudes, in fact, with that. It's magic, but way better in every single way. And Ciri is now supposedly going to have a lot more freedom to do that, because again, wider audience. What does the wider audience mean? Well, the wider audience means people who haven't actually gotten any real investment into the Witcher series, but who will have been told that The Witcher is the best thing since sliced bread. And now it's got a new character, so this makes people who are not interested in to begin with feel as if it's a bit more of an easy to enter stage, because you're no longer playing the old series, you're playing something new. It's an easier starting point. And along with that easier starting point comes a less fixed playstyle, where now apparently Ciri can choose to do all kinds of different things. Now, whether or not these are the usual hollow promises of every RPG ever, as all of them go like, oh yes, you can solve the quest in whatever manner you wish. And by that they mean we've created 3 different dialogue options that solve the quest in 3 minusculely different ways that will not affect anything else at any point ever. But you could do it. You can do it. And to be fair, there are some like that already in previous RPGs and The Witcher as well, of course, with the changes to, well, dialogue, more often than not, really, rather than any wide sweeping consequences that usually then might be amounts to a, well, ending change. Which also, they had a weird mention here as well about one of the endings being that Ciri could die in The Witcher 3. Thankfully, that ending, which is one of the 3 different fates for Ciri, and the outcome of several hidden choices made through the game, isn't quite as clear-cut as it may seem. The death ending, I see. There are hints in that ending that highlight the fact that she probably doesn't die, says Mayer, and so regardless of the events you personally witnessed at the end of your own Witcher 3 playthrough, the sequel will not break any canon or even offend any canon. What? So, regardless of what ending you got, they're all real? What? I'm not entirely sure if they understand what they're saying here. Because as far as I understand at least, the 3 endings are quite different, and only one of them really has her going like full studying to become a witcher in essence. So I don't know what that means. Regardless of your personal witness at the end of your Witcher playthrough, the sequel will not break any canon or even offend any. Okay, right? I'm presuming that means that your choices indeed did not matter for the umpteenth time again. Hey, regardless of what ending you got, we're gonna just push you in this game regardless. Maybe, if you're very lucky, we'll acknowledge it with a line of dialogue. Maybe. Hey, it's more than Dragon Age the Veil God gave anyone, so, you know, that's something. Yeah. And also like this too. The Witcher 4 is an approachable experience. They want everyone who cares to play, but there doesn't seem to be any sign of the studio's trademark RPG depth being watered down in payment for that approachability. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. There isn't any sign of that, says IGN whilst talking to the people blowing smoke up their ass. Like, oy. See, okay. The Witcher 1, now I believe that was the one with the ridiculous, like, rhythm-based combat. That one needed some changes. I've tried to play all of the Witcher games at some point, and I played them for a bit, and then been like, nah, not for me, and then skipped on out again pretty much as quickly as that. But, so I sympathize with the idea of making it more approachable, but at the end of the day, there's the problem. I kind of enjoyed Star Trek Discovery. I know, don't lynch me, but listen. Star Trek Discovery was not Star Trek at all. It was basically just a dumb action show in space. And as somebody who wasn't a massive fan of Star Trek, a dumb action show in space is my preferred version of Star Trek. I am the wider audience in terms of Star Trek. And so the fact here that they are appealing again to that wider audience, the people who, like everyone who cares to play without any previous necessity of having liked the previous games, played the previous games, or been interested in the previous games, that should be a massive warning sign to you. Now, to me, that sounds kind of good. Yes, please do ruin your gaming experience. For me, of course. Sacrifice yourself for the wider market, Witcher fans. But for those of you who actually care about The Witcher, and has played through all of them and really want an actually good sequel, you should be really worried right now. See, I've been a little bit on the fence up until this point, because yes, CD Projekt Red is a very DEI-oriented company. They are a very woke company. They are a very sexist company, as demonstrated by their awards. They are fully committed to ESG and all of that nonsense. They are going to push this shit into the game, and they probably already did push it into the game via the trailer. Again, Ciri's appearance is probably not accidental, and I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the supporting characters also got a quick wallop with the ugly stick. Even though, like, Ciri isn't even as bad, but you can very clearly tell that they've downplayed many more of the eyeshadow is what I like to lean on, because in the trailer, her signature eyeshadow is virtually entirely gone, and this stripping away of makeup, a feminine signifier, is exactly what I would expect from a rather progressive character developer who looks at that and goes like, where does she get charcoal to color her eyes all the time? This isn't realistic. I swear to Jesus, that was a conversation that went on at one point in CD Projekt Red's offices. I am willing to bet a lot of money on that fact. And that now the company is also going out and saying, yep, we're doing it for the wider audience. Yep, you're not going to need to know anything about it. We are going to apparently not mess with canon or the story at all, despite the 3 different endings somehow. And we are going to make it accessible to everyone. I think at this point it is fairly safe to say that you are not going to be getting much of a Witcher experience at a Witcher 4. Now, we can continue to pray and hope that we are incorrect in this assumption, but as we keep saying here, where there is smoke, there is usually fire when it comes to wokeism. We will have to, again, just sit by and see. I see, even some of the things, I don't mind the addition of new monsters. They could simply just do a second convergence, I guess, and pull an entirely new set of rules out of their cavernous anuses to justify all of this, and it would be an enormous deus ex machina and a random-ass plot point, but at least it would be somewhat in keeping with the setting, right? To a degree. What about everybody else? What do you guys think? Do you think there is still hope, or are you fully sold already based on the trailer alone? Because I would say, of course, there is no reason not to be wary. You lose nothing by being wary, especially when the developers are kind of telling you that you are no longer the target audience, and you gain everything by being wary. Wait a week, wait 2 weeks, and see whether or not it is truly for the wider audience, or if it is for you. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.